bitches go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego Unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Danny Garcia, less of an underdog than Shawn Porter was against Errol Spence. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. We unpack, coming to you live. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, Errol Spence, you know, he's the man of the hour, unified the welterweight division. He is the only current two-belt champion, and he's looking for greatness. His stock keeps growing. It looks like he did good pay-per-view numbers. They said it's about 325 to 350,000 against Shawn Porter. You see the two straps. You know, he's enjoying life. And you know, I seen an article on Forbes. Shout out to them. Link in the description. And I thought it was interesting. Basically, after the Shawn Porter fight, Danny Garcia, that he got in the ring. And some people thought that was odd, but looks like Fox has a plan to make the Spence versus Danny Garcia fight. And according to this article and betting sites, Danny Garcia is less of an underdog, if you will, than Shawn Porter was. Now, fights are fights. Underdog, we've seen it. This is the year of the underdog. Guys like Julian J. Rock Williams, people are like, man, I don't know. He can't beat Hurd. Hurd is too big, or Charlo stopped J-Rock, you know. But this is the year of the underdog. Andy Ruiz, J-Rock, Andrew Cancio versus Machado rematch. We've been seeing it. We've been seeing it time and time again. Otto Violin put it down versus Tyson Fury and did way better, you know, given the lack of clarity we had as to who he was as a fighter. You get what I'm saying? So now let's talk about it. I want to read the article and then I'm going to unpack it like I always do. If you like what I'm doing, smash the like button. Pause the video, smash the like button. You know, let's get them likes up. Run me my likes. Now it says Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia odds. Here's why Garcia is a smaller underdog than Shawn Porter, right? After Errol Spence got past Shawn Porter by split decision in what turns out to be an action-packed fight last Saturday, Spence and Premier Boxing Champ surprised much of the boxing world by declaring he wanted to face Danny Garcia next. Although talk before the fight centered around potential meetings, Manny Pacquiao, though it seems nearly impossible because of sports politics to fight Terrence Crawford right now, PBC was actually eyeing Spence versus Garcia. Even though Garcia lost to Porter 13 months ago, the PBC apparently feels he deserves the next shot at Spence and to unify the welterweight titles. Both Spence and Garcia are PBC affiliated. The fight reportedly could happen next January, but even if Garcia doesn't seem like the worthiest opponent at the moment, the betting odds favor him more than they did Porter, right? Errol Spence, Danny Garcia odds. According to betonline.ag, Spence is a negative 600 favorite, meaning you have to wager $600 to win $100 on a Spence victory. Danny Garcia, meanwhile, is a plus 400 underdog, which means you score a $400 payday with a $100 bet. But it's interesting that just before the Spence Porter bout, Spence was a negative 1,000 and Porter was positive 600. So why is Garcia less of an underdog than Porter? Was when Porter's stock seemingly was higher than Garcia. Dave Mason, the sportsbook brand manager for BetOnline, told Forbes that Porter ended up as, quote, way too much of a long shot because of Spence's reputation. For most of the week, Spence was negative 800, so clearly the last minute money came in on Spence. Quote, Garcia is on a similar level to Porter, having only lost to Porter and Keith Thurman on a split decision. I thought he won that fight personally, Mason said. Quote, as for Spence, the Porter fight slightly lowered his stock. That's because Porter gave Spence the toughest fight of his career, landing more punches on him than any other opponent before. It was a clear victory for Spence, but Porter made him work ever so hard for it and punished him for much of the contest. Damn. Though Spence, his performance only slightly impacted opening money line for his potential fight with Garcia, he certainly got dinged for its hypothetical matchup with Crawford, the fight most of the boxing world hungers to see. It is now seen that Crawford will be a clear favorite rather than the 50-50 in their fight should it happen, Morgan said. So this is a lot. There's a lot to take in. We got to unpack this. So basically, people slept on Shawn Porter. And this is what I'm talking about. We got to get this sport back to its truest essence. We got to get the sport back to nothing against Errol Spence, nothing against Shawn Porter, Danny Garcia. We got to get the sport back to its truest essence. I told you, a lot of y'all, Roger Mayweather told y'all, a lot of y'all don't know shit about boxing, right? The thing is, the fight with Porter, he was criminally underrated to the point where, you know, this new social media age got it so fucking twisted that it makes it hard to have good boxing dialogue with certain people. They're far too emotional for this sport. You know, I keep saying this example, but there's a difference between Spence versus Porter and Tyson Fury versus Otto Violent. See, the thing is, Otto Violent had only fought like one 12-rounder. He had only fought in America once. Actually, I don't think he had any 12-rounders, to be honest. But he had only fought in America once. He hadn't had any good names on his resume in the heavyweight division. So I can understand guys like him being a long shot based on that. But when you look at Shawn Porter as he entered the Errol Spence fight, Shawn Porter, for a variety of different reasons, had a better resume. So I don't understand for the life of me why people thought this wouldn't be at least competitive, you know? And, you know, this goes to show you that a lot of people don't know shit about boxing. Porter has been in there with Julio Diaz. He had a draw in that fight. Then he had to come back and set the record straight. He fought Adrian Broner at a catchweight, so he was disciplined, made that. He fought Ugas, a Cuban technical guy who's bigger than him. He fought Danny Garcia. He fought Keith Thurman. He fought Paulie Malignaggi. You know, he fought Eric Bonet. You know, this guy has been in there. He fought Andre Berto. Let's not forget that. Stop Berto. Floyd Mayweather fought Berto. He didn't stop him. You know, styles make fights. So he fought Adrian Granados. So that's the thing about it, is Shawn Porter is battle tested for sure. So a lot of it's not. Oftentimes the fights that are good fights, you can identify that from the beginning. I knew Maurice Hooker, Jose Ramirez was going to be a good fight. You know, I knew Luis Ortiz Wilder was going to be a good fight. I knew Shawn Porter, Errol Spence was going to be a good fight. I told you guys this. You know, I think Better Bia versus Vaultstick is going to be a good fight. You could tell by the matchup. You know, I thought Pacquiao Thurman was going to be a good fight, which it was. You know, so that's the thing. You just have to know what you're talking about. You have to know and understand the sport of boxing. So congrats to Errol. He got it. He got 2 belts. But basically, the reason Danny Garcia is not as much of an underdog is because people have now, after seeing Porter criminally underrated and then do better than what he thought, to the point where some people even think Porter won. You know, it was close. The knockdown could have been the game changer type of win for Errol Spence. See, people are used to what they've seen. Errol Spence couldn't get no work with no top guys. You know, it looked like a lot of the top guys didn't want to fight him until he built his brand, until they had to, until the pressure grew. And then that time has come. Now people have to fight him, you know? So Errol Spence was able to build his brand and destroy the guys that were in front of him, like the Lamont Petersons, Campos, and then he ended up hurting Kell Brook. But like the Kell Brook, you know, you got to look at the Golovkin fight happened just before that and messed up one of Kell Brook's eyes. So who knows? You know, who knows? I'm not going to do a whole bunch of speculating. It played out how it was destined to play out. But ultimately, we don't know what would happen had Kell Brook went straight into the Errol Spence fight instead of fighting Triple G and getting fucked up at 160. You know? So Errol Spence, he's now getting to the point where he got the, you know, he got boxing. He got the welterweight division. He's holding it down and things like that. And he's now starting to get the fights. People like new media, we've pushed for Errol Spence to get his just due and get the fights. And now the time is among us. But we just really need more qualified people talking about boxing. See, I love YouTube because this is where I got my start covering boxing. You know, this is my full-time gig now. So I love the platform and I love what it's been able to, you know, accomplish. But the downside is with the internet in general is anybody can get on this motherfucker and as a result say their own opinion, which is cool, you know, freedom of speech and that. But there's a lot of people in this particular sport, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, it's about race and national heritage, and this guy's from the same place I'm from, so I'm rooting for him. And they can't separate that in their fight predictions. So I don't know who, because even Errol Spence, to his credit, I don't even think Errol Spence slept on Shawn Porter in terms of, you know, he said Shawn Porter a dog, he could fight, you know, he got more talent than skill. He, you know, he took some jabs at him, but he never said Shawn Porter was the weakest person he's ever faced or Shawn Porter ain't got no heart. Like, so even Errol understood the task at hand and he came through it. But for whatever reason, the fans undermine it, you know, and then they act surprised that the fight was good and close and competitive. To me, it's not really all that surprising, you know. And the funny thing is, we got to unpack it. We Unpack coming to you live. I know there's a lot of like Al Heyman detractors and PBC detractors, but I'm here to tell you, I've said this from the jump. Danny Garcia versus Spence is a good fight. Bro, how can you watch Porter versus Spence, watch how great of a fight that was, how it was tooth and nail, how it was a battle of attrition, battle of wheels, and then write Danny Garcia off and say that it's a bullshit fight? Even if you don't pick Danny Garcia to win, how can you assume that this is a bad fight? Like, bro, you had a better chance of doing that when Spence was coming off the Mikey Garcia performance because he steamrolled Mikey. But this is different. The Shawn Porter fight was close, so I don't see how anybody with any level of intelligence can watch the Shawn Porter fight and then write Danny Garcia off as uncompetitive. That's why if you look at this Forbes article, you know, the Danny Garcia is less of an underdog because he has, his losses are respectable. Danny Garcia lost to Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter, and you could contest both of them, if not one of them or both. You know what I'm saying? You could contest both of them. Danny got a fucking chin. When he was in the ring, Danny looked bigger than Errol Spence, or just as big, you know, one of the two. Danny has a resume. Danny has a punch. He has heavy hands. So I'm not saying he beats Errol Spence. I got to think about it more. You know, I'm not saying that. But after the performance that I've seen from, you know, Spence and Porter, the game is not a foregone conclusion. You know, Spence was in there tough. It wasn't like a Mayweather type performance like versus Gotti where it's just like, oh man, who could beat this guy? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that negatively or to disrespect Spence, but it was just a gutsy, you know, tooth and nail fight. So if anything, that Shawn Porter, knowing that Danny Garcia, his fight with Shawn Porter and how he looked, this would encourage him to muster up the energy and feel like he has a chance to get Errol Spence. See, that's what fighters prey on. You know, they look at somebody and they see someone look vulnerable. You know, they see someone look vulnerable and then they're like, okay, I can see this dude, he's beatable. And that's what Danny Garcia said. So if he could pull it off, that remains to be seen. You know, this is not a fight prediction. I like Danny Garcia. I like Errol. I like Spence. I like Crawford. I like all of them. So, you know, this ain't no like picking sides. See, that's what boxing got too much of this bullshit. Like picking sides. I don't care about side. I don't have a side. I'm a boxing fan. That's my side. I claim boxing, fool. You know, I rep the West Side. That's my side. I don't have no sides. I like boxing. I like good, compelling fights. Much respect to these young legends in the making, you know. And let's see some some good scraps. This is entertainment. This is a sport. This is a competition, etc. But again, I don't see how you could watch the Spence Porter fight and then, write Danny Garcia off like he just is not going to be competitive, and a lot of that comes from hate for Al Heyman, hate for Danny Garcia, hate for Angel Garcia. Errol Spence is getting a lot of hate because he's a man, hate for the PBC. That's what that comes from. This is a good fight. And Fox did a bang up job for Porter versus Garcia. Not Porter Garcia, Spence versus Porter. Now this is going to be a week before the Super Bowl, and Fox is carrying the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? This is going to be a good fight. It's going to be a big fight, and it's to start the year off. This is the first fight of January, and PBC has the wherewithal to schedule that. Meanwhile, Terrence Crawford, phenomenal fighter. We do not know who Terrence Crawford is going to face next. And he's supposed to be fighting November, December. We don't know. Top Rank has not issued out any type of press release that I've received. I get the press releases from Top Rank. I haven't seen nothing. We don't know who Terrence Crawford is supposed to fight at the end of this year. And the year is about to end. It's insane. So how can people even fix their lips to hate on Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia? Danny he was a lineal champ at 40. He moved up. He has power. He has a resume. He has size. Like I said, next to Spence, he looked equivalent. We'll just say that in size. So he has a chin. People said he was going to lose to Matisse. Spence is a beast. This is a good fight. And people, it's funny the double standards that we get in boxing. Virgil Ortiz, Golden Boy, has him fighting Orozco, and he looks dope. He looks like he could scrap, but that's who he's fighting. Yet and still, people have a problem with Errol Spence after the Porter fight, fighting Danny Garcia. These are all the guys that you guys as fans said that was ducking Spence. So now that nothing's really negatively changed in their careers, where they're washed up, and now the fights are happening, they still find a reason to complain. So, go that way. This is a good fight. This is why you see the odds. People are being more realistic. Like, okay, damn, maybe I rated Spence higher. Maybe, maybe he still has development to do, or, after Porter put him through a tough fight, who knows with Danny. Now, this is the catch. This is the caveat. Danny Garcia don't fight nothing like Shawn Porter. So it's possible Errol Spence, let's say he goes through and he might look like, versus the other Garcia, and put up this tour de force performance, right? We don't know, but that's what makes it compelling, because Danny's not as athletic and athletically gifted, and he's a lot slower than Shawn Porter. His footwork is not like bow, 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 and moving and stuff. That's not his real bag. So he would have to beat him with a different style, and styles make fights. So maybe Shawn Porter's style, Shawn Porter gives everyone a rugged fight. Some guys are out there like that. Beyond that, you can't sleep on Errol Spence Jr.'s opportunity to grow. I think Errol Spence, he made it fun as fuck watching the Porter fight, but he also made the fight harder than it had to be, because he fought more Shawn Porter's game in the first 4 or 5 rounds. He was fighting the rugged, tough shootout fight. I ain't taking no steps back, stuff like that. Danny's a technical textbook, like tactical fighter. It's like some guys like Badu Jack, they'll beat your ass. It's not looking like they'll do anything crazy. It's like not super flashy, but they got solid shit. You can't make mistakes with them. Danny's one of those people. But, we don't know what Errol Spence Jr., we have to give him the credit that he got through it and he's unified. That boosts your confidence. Like, damn. Like, if you really think about it, see, this is people who are so stupid. They're saying Errol Spence got exposed. He didn't get exposed. He was supposed to be in there with a tough fight. All of Shawn Porter's fights are tough. Demetrius Andrade just said the same thing, and he has fights with Shawn Porter from the amateurs. He just did an interview for the Triple G Derevyanchenko fight week, and he said the same thing to my dude Ron. He said, I don't know why people wrote Shawn Porter off. He always brings it. This is common sense. So it's nothing exposed. You motherfuckers got exposed for not knowing what the fuck you talking about. Shawn Porter gives everybody a tough fight. Berto didn't like the pressure. Granados lost. Broner lost 10, 11 rounds to Shawn Porter. You know, Danny lost to Shawn. Like Keith Thurman arguably lost. Kell Brook. I thought Kell Brook beat Shawn Porter, but it's not like he mowed Shawn Porter down. So Shawn Porter give everybody a tough fight. So styles make fights. So we have to see what Danny can do. You know, Danny could get slid, you know, by Errol Spence because of the stylistic matchup, or he could be another fight. You know, I think Danny's confidence would grow from watching the Porter fight. But again, you don't know what Errol Spence Jr., how he grows from it, because he went through it. He fought he buckled down, and I give him, people talking about this, Errol got exposed. You got to look at it like this. Errol Spence just went in there and got a victory at Shawn Porter's game. Like Shawn Porter's game, and he produced a knockdown in the fight. He beat Shawn Porter at his game. Like he went to war with him. He bucked, okay, bite down, get off me, and got Shawn Porter to respect him and got him off of him and made for a close, compelling fight. Plus, he got a pivotal knockdown when it mattered in the 11th round. That's championship level shit. That's an adjustment, you know? So Errol has an opportunity to learn from this too. Like, okay, I did the war thing, but let me scale it back and let me get back on my jab. Let me go back to my fundamental boxing, which I could do. I showed the world I could do that, you know? And sometimes that's what it's about. Because if you look at it, Errol the fucking true Spence Jr. just fought two different ways in two back-to-back fights. Mikey Garcia, he would have stopped Mikey doing all the shit he did with Shawn Porter, just going to war, and bro, he would have stopped him, you know, unless Mikey had so much power where he would have countered him and caught him or some shit. I think Spence would have stopped him, but he chose to box more, and he showed that wrinkle in his arsenal. And then for the Shawn Porter fight, there was like build up, and he really wanted to stop Shawn Porter because of the you know, what Kenny was saying, what Shawn Porter was saying, and he had set the expectations and the bar high, pretty much. And that's another reason why I think this fight, Angel Garcia is funny as fuck, bro. So you never know what he's gonna say at the press conference if he goes back in his bag. Like, I speak the truth. Oh, fuck the Valentino, huh? Oh, you American when you get that welfare check, huh? Like, bro, he might get into his Scarface bag and shit. And help sell this fight. So I like the fight, man. I like the fight. But like I said, you can't rob Errol Spence of the opportunity to grow as well. Errol Spence Jr., he just went through a tough, rugged fight. Him and his coach, Derek James, they might scale it back and be like, okay, you showed the world you could do that. Let's get back to more of the boxing, you know, if need be. So you don't really know what Danny's finna do or what Spence is gonna do. But like I said, Danny ain't small. So I like the fight. I think it's a real good fight. You know, people keep talking about the Crawford fight, which is awesome. I love the Crawford fight. But you know the inherent issues why that fight's not happening. Why do people like insist on playing dumb? Why do they insist on playing dumb in the boxing game? You know what's going on. You know the complications for making that fight. You know that Top Rank don't have the welterweight division on lock and they being stalled out, which is no different than Bob Arum in the past making in-house fights. You know the game. So why are people playing like this? And here's the other thing is, whether you like it or not, there is a shifting of power. And Terrence Crawford is fighting lesser than Danny Garcia because of that's what, not by choice. I'm not blaming Terrence Crawford, but per his affiliations, we'll say, and the political landscape, they cannot provide him with anything better than Danny Garcia. So why is Errol under scrutiny? Why is Errol under scrutiny? See, this is what I'm saying. I unpacked this shit like nobody else in the game. Why would Errol be under scrutiny and he fighting Danny Garcia? Fought Kendall Holt, fought Nate Campbell, fought Eric Morales twice, spun Eric Morales, a fucking legend, around in the second fight, fought Zab, fought Keith Thurman, fought Shawn Porter, just knocked out Adrian Granados, who's not easy to look good again, spun Amir Khan around. Crawford just fought Amir Khan. Nobody had a problem with that. Danny been knocked Khan face off. You know what I'm saying? Castor Troy. I'm Castor Troy. Danny knocked him out years ago at his true division. Lucas Matisse went. Like, what are we talking about? Lamont Peterson. It was a close fight, you know, but he still fought him and beat him. Mauricio Herrera, you know, I thought he lost that fight, but these are people he's fought. Danny fought everybody. What are we talking about? you know? And the thing is, I think Crawford would fight everybody for sure, but his promoter can't get him these fights. That's the reality of it. His promoter is not in a position of power or whatever, or doesn't have the relationship or whatever the situation is. He can't get him this fight. So how can we shit on Danny versus Spence a week before the Super Bowl, but Top Rank put up Tyson Fury, Otto Violin, and Tom Schwartz, and then for Crawford, the best they could probably get him is, you know, maybe Kell Brook, who Spence already beat, you know, but more likely Mean Machine, Aegis Kavalauskas. It doesn't make sense. This is a good fight. Y'all got to get that hate out your heart. The other thing that with the double standard is people say Danny Garcia is a cherry picker. They keep bringing up this Rod Salka bullshit, and Errol Spence ain't nobody's cherry pick. So which one is it? You say Danny don't have no resume and he's a cherry picker. Errol ain't no fucking cherry pick. That's a tough fight for anybody at welterweight. So the fact that Danny's gonna fight him, which one is it? Is he a cherry picker or is he fighting top competition? These two things don't add up. Man, I'm destroying old media. Just answer that question. The same people who are complaining about Errol Spence versus Danny call Danny a cherry picker, right? And Errol, we all know Errol Spence is the truth, and he's a good ass fighter, and he has the most belts in the division. So how the fuck is he a cherry pick? How's he a cherry picker? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either the man's a cherry picker or he's fighting the best guys in the division. Shawn Porter, Keith Thurman, now Errol Spence, Amir Khan at 40, Lucas Matisse at 40. What happened to the cherry picker part? See, that's what I'm saying. The old media, what they do, it doesn't work anymore. You got to know your shit. They try to stubbornly cling to certain talking points, but then it gets to a point where it doesn't even make sense anymore, and they still recycle, like Captain Planet. They still recycle the same bullshit that they've been talking about. Oh yeah, Danny's a cherry picker. How the fuck the man a cherry picker? And in the last couple of years, his resume is going to show Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter, and Errol Spence, and Adrian Granados, and Brandon Rios. He knocked him out with a headshot that nobody's knocked Brandon Rios out with the headshot, and even including Pacquiao. You know, these dudes, old media's washed. Y'all know that. We unpacked Errol Spence. Danny's a great fight. I will be there. I'll promote it. You know, people just hating, you know, because they see the power shifting and they know what's up. You know, that's basically what it is. But I don't have a problem with the fight. And it shows you Danny Garcia is less of an underdog because everyone watched Errol Spence. That was more of a humbling performance because you didn't just see him blow through a guy. So it made people reassess, oh, damn, can Spence beat Crawford? It made people reassess, damn, the Porter rematch, I want to see that. Or how would Danny Garcia do? You know, that was that type of performance. It was a gutsy performance by Errol Spence, but it was also, you know, some calamity in there. There's points where I believe Errol Spence was hurt, you know. There's different severities of being hurt. I'm not saying he was on his way out or nothing, but he bit down and did what champions do and you know, made it work for himself. So I like this fight with Danny, man. And Fox is doing a great job promoting it. Let me know what you guys think. That's my Unpack. We Unpack coming to you live. If you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, send me a donation, whatever y'all want to do. So that's my thoughts. Errol Spence, Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is not even as big of an underdog because I think the Porter fight put that in perspective. Even though Porter fight's different than Danny Garcia, just the fact that Errol Spence didn't run through somebody 12 rounds out of 12 or stop him early, you know, that puts it in perspective that, okay, let's reimagine this. Let's reassess this. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you like what I'm doing, again, subscribe to the channel. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.